Herkleton appears vibrant and alive in Craig of the Creek, but what if this cheerful facade masks a devastating truth? Or what if Craig Williams is actually the sole survivor of an unspoken catastrophe? Consider Craig's obsessive mapping of the creek. This isn't just a child's pastime, it's a desperate attempt to document a world that exists only in his mind. After an environmental or nuclear disaster wiped out Herkleton's population, Craig's psyche fractured, creating an elaborate fantasy to escape unbearable solitude. His friends aren't real. Kelsey, with her dramatic narratives and cape, embodies the courage Craig wishes he possessed in this empty world. Her backstory, raised by a widowed father, might reflect fragments of Craig's own tragic reality. J.P., with his innocent simplicity, represents the childhood normalcy Craig desperately clings to as he wanders alone. The creek's various territories and inhabitants, the rule-obsessed junior forest scouts, the teenage elders, are manifestations of Craig's psychological needs. He's created an entire society to fill the void where real human connection once existed. The glitches are everywhere if you look closely. Adults sometimes disappear completely from episodes. Time seems frozen in eternal summer. Children never age or change clothes. These aren't animation shortcuts. They're cracks in Craig's fantasy. In reality, Craig roams a devastated landscape, collecting rusted remnants of playgrounds and forgotten toys, talking to imaginary friends while sitting alone at a tree stump. The last child of Herkleton, fighting to preserve his sanity in an empty world. Chapter 2. The Phantoms of Friendship. The Stump kids, Craig, Kelsey, and J.P., aren't really gathering at their headquarters built around a tree stump. That stump is likely a memorial, one of the few recognizable landmarks remaining in devastated Herkleton, where Craig sits alone day after day, conjuring companions to ward off overwhelming solitude. Look closer at these friends. Kelsey constantly narrates her own life because she's not an autonomous character but Craig's alter ego processing trauma through a braver personality. Her pet falcon Mortimer, actually a budgerigar, symbolizes nature's degradation. In Craig's real world, birds are rare survivors or completely gone. By reimagining a common pet as majestic, Craig maintains the illusion that nature still thrives. JP's simplistic worldview and childlike wonder aren't character traits but psychological necessities. Craig desperately clings to innocence while forced to mature too quickly in his harsh reality. JP's frequent confusion mirrors Craig's struggle to comprehend the incomprehensible tragedy surrounding him. The episodic adventures aren't explorations but therapy sessions. Each villain represents Craig's externalized fears, forgetting his past, facing adulthood alone, or worst of all, accepting reality. When characters repeat phrases or behaviors like broken records, these are glitches in Craig's fantasy, moments where his exhausted mind can't maintain complex illusions. Most telling are episodes where Craig is separated from his friends, creating panic to reunite. These aren't about friendship, and they're moments of clarity where Craig glimpses his true solitary state before desperately retreating back into protective delusion. The detailed creek map isn't a guide to a physical place but to Craig's remaining memories, territories of mind still accessible amidst overwhelming trauma. Chapter 3. The Frozen Timescape. Time in Craig of the Creek operates strangely. Endless summer days blend together without progression. This isn't just cartoon convention but evidence of Craig's fractured perception. He's locked in an eternal loop of the last normal day before catastrophe, refusing to move forward because doing so means accepting unbearable loss. The rare seasonal changes trigger crisis episodes where characters face dramatically different circumstances. These aren't literal weather events but moments when Craig's fantasy briefly cracks, revealing glimpses of actual harsh conditions in post-apocalyptic Herkleton, perhaps acid rain or radiation storms forcing him to seek real shelter rather than wander his imaginary landscape. Craig's fixation on retro technology isn't quirky preference but necessity. Modern infrastructure has collapsed, only older, simpler devices remain operational. The elaborate creek structures, treehouses, bridges, trading posts would be impossible for children to build. They're likely decaying remnants of actual Herkleton that Craig transforms into magical construction projects to maintain normalcy. Nighttime episodes introduce more ominous elements, representing periods when Craig's psychological defenses weaken. In darkness, he might face actual dangers, wild animals reclaiming suburbs, extreme weather, or the terrifying silence of a world without human sounds. Study Craig's bedroom scenes carefully. While immediate surroundings appear normal, distant views through windows or down hallways seem blurred or empty. the edges where his detailed reconstruction of normal life breaks down. The continuously expanding creek map isn't exploration, but processing. Craig gradually incorporating more devastated landscape into his fantasy as he becomes psychologically capable of confronting reality, transforming horror into adventure one territory at a time. Chapter 4. The absence of adults. The strange relationship between children and adults in the show isn't just emphasizing child autonomy, it reveals crucial aspects of Craig's fractured reality. Adults appear inconsistently, often relegated to home scenes or completely off-screen. This isn't storytelling convenience, but evidence they may be entirely absent from Craig's actual world. Craig's parents, Dwayne and Nicole Williams, interact with him in formulaic, repetitive ways, the same conversations with minor variations. These aren't real interactions, but Craig's idealized memories replayed for comfort. Notice how parental advice arrives at suspiciously convenient moments, perfectly addressing current dilemmas. This is Craig's mind constructing the guidance he needs, putting words in the mouths of parents who can no longer provide them. The fantastical elements of Craig's extended family further support this theory. His grandfather Earl is described as adventurous and talkative like Craig. His grandmother Jojo was a civil rights activist whose sweater magically changes sayings. These aren't real people, but constructs from fragments of family stories. Adults who appear at the creek are caricatures. The overthinking park keeper, eccentric ice pop man, mysterious junk lord. These aren't realistic portrayals, but how a child perceives adult figures. Further evidence we're seeing through Craig's imagination rather than objective reality. Episodes where adults restrict creek activities represent Craig's internal struggle with the adult responsibility he's forced to shoulder. Part of him resists growing up because childhood represents the lost world, while adulthood means accepting harsh reality. The elders, teenagers occupying certain territories, symbolize Craig's fear of aging alone, without normal societal transitions. Their antagonistic relationship with the Stump Kids reflects Craig's conflict about maturation in a world where normal development has been disrupted. Chapter 5. The glitching reality. Throughout the series, subtle anomalies reveal the true nature of Craig's world. Backgrounds shift between scenes, colors intensify or fade unexpectedly, shadows move independently. These aren't animation errors, but moments where Craig's mental construct fails, allowing glimpses of the actual devastated landscape to bleed through. The creek's geography defies logic. Areas that should be distant appear connected. Landmarks mysteriously relocate. These inconsistencies reveal that the creek isn't physical but psychological, its geography determined by emotion rather than physical reality. Supporting characters occasionally repeat phrases verbatim across episodes or get stuck in behavioral loops like NPCs with limited programming. These glitches expose the limitations of Craig's imaginary constructs. He can only maintain so much complexity before the illusion breaks down. The most disturbing glitches involve family. In rare instances, parents or siblings briefly appear unresponsive before suddenly resuming normal behavior. These aren't dramatic pauses, but moments where Craig's fantasy temporarily collapses, revealing the empty house he actually inhabits. Technology functions improbably. Phones work in remote areas, devices run without power sources, games have impossible features. These inconsistencies reflect Craig's increasingly inaccurate memories of pre-disaster technology. Weather changes occur suddenly and dramatically. These abrupt shifts represent moments when Craig can no longer maintain environmental fantasy and actual conditions break through. Characters' exaggerated reactions suggest these weather events represent far more threatening phenomena in reality. Background sounds occasionally cut out completely, leaving unnatural silence. Distant urban sounds disappear mid-scene. These audio glitches reveal Craig's struggle to consistently remember the soundscape of functioning civilization. In rare first-person perspective shots, subtle distortions appear at frame edges, suggesting Craig's actual vision might be impaired, perhaps by the same disaster that claimed his community. Each glitch represents Craig's exhausted mind struggling to maintain the complex illusion that shields him from confronting an unbearable truth. He wanders alone through a dead world. His vibrant creek